Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends, where you will get 2 hours of great gaming talk, some banter, but especially we're going to remove the total BS that some sites unfortunately put out there when they do these shows, because we're here for your entertainment. And the guys that I have lined up are your regular panel members. They are some of the community's finest and brightest. They play games, they have fun, they interact with the community. And guess what, folks? That is what it's all about. So let me introduce my esteemed panel. First up, he's been a part of many shows on YouTube and a very vocal Twitter community member. He's the leader of the Session Empire, whose numbers are growing at an alarming rate. He's an old school gamer with an 80s pop culture junkie. He loves G.I. Joe and Transformers and is an essential part of Primetime Gaming and Breakfast with Boom. Please welcome So Shady.
Thanks, Boom. I am hyped to be here, man. I just got off of my last, the first hour, actually. I got my hands on Borderlands 3. Whew! It was fire. I loved it. It was gruesome. It's right up my alley. I can't wait to talk about it. Let's do it.
Nice. Next, we have a gamer whose undying skills in Destiny have no match, and unfortunately, he is running late. So Gaming Forte will be here hopefully relatively soon. But I just wanted to let the folks know, because he is a vital part of this show. I want to move on to the next panel member, if that's okay. Next, we have the Italian gamer, still looking for the perfect calzone. He's the creator of the outstanding Four Guys with Quarters. He's been gaming since the days of Pac-Man, and a community leader who helps everyone for no reason other than it's the right thing to do. Please welcome someone I call brother, the Italian Clowns.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me, Boom.
Well, it's great to have you here, and like I said, the calzone might be hard to find. Hopefully you can find at least a decent slice of pizza in your neck of the woods, but I don't know. The water's usually not good in Florida. Anyway, let's move on to the next panel member. Next, we have a gaming hero who will one day don the cape and cowl and become the Caped Crusader. A newcomer to the podcast game with skills of a 20-year veteran, an Xbox enthusiast who bleeds green, and someone who runs an amazing mixer channel. Please welcome CyberKnox.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, chat? It is a pleasure to be here. I'm going to record that intro you just gave me, Boom, and I'm going to play it everywhere because that was awesome. Thank you so much. And it's prime time, it's Primetime Podcast here with an amazing crew. Amazing panel. And what do you want to do after you just played gaming all weekends? Of course you want to talk about some games, so let's do it. I'm excited for the show.
Well, it's glad to have you here, my brother. And last and no least, a Black Desert legend who says that the MMO life is for him. A gamer who will save the universe from the clutches of the profound darkness when Phantasy Star Online 2 releases next year. An Apex Legend assassin on the level of Agent 47, and an Overwatch player who understands that there's no I in team. Please welcome Tempestsun.
What's up, Boom? As always, I appreciate the phenomenal intro, and I just played some Apex the other day, picked up some W's.
Nice.
And, it always feels good. So.
Well, listen, you know what? I want to throw this out there. His gamer tag is Tempestsun. He is really, truly an assassin, and if you want to play, hit him up on Xbox Live because the guy is ridiculously good. But I want to go right into the show. And, obviously, one of the big things that we do on this show is we welcome the community. We open arms for everyone. Doesn't matter what flag you fly. We want you to come here, hang out, enjoy yourself, be fair, be kind, get yourself involved in the chat, talk with others, and just leave the console war shenanigans to the side. Because you know what? There's another day tomorrow, and Twitter will be right open for you to go crazy. But one of the things that lead the charge on each one of these shows is the community question. And we open up every show. We did last week, this week, and we're gonna keep going with it as long as the questions keep coming. And today's question comes to us from Waza55 of Twitter. And his question is very simple but perplexing at the same time. And I'll start with I want to go to Clowns on this. What influenced you to go from gamer to content creator or podcast panel member? Clowns, take it away.
Well, I just love gaming, to be honest with you, Boom. Gaming has been a big part of me since Pac-Man, since I was 3 years old. And I just want to share my love of it with everyone else and tell everyone about it.
That's a great. That's great. It's short and sweet. And you know what? You are a stout community member. And when I was getting into the getting into the podcasting game, Clowns was right there to help me out. Whenever I had a question, I would DM him, and it would be no problem whatsoever. When Google Hangouts was working, we would talk. He would run me through a few things, and really help me out on my way. So that's really cool, Clowns. I want to go to So Shady next on this because, you do have a YouTube channel. It does not have content as of yet. This is something that we've talked publicly and privately about doing. Eventually, you're going to get into your own. But you have been on, Shady, lots of shows. You were on RDX. You're panel members on 2 of my shows. You were on Xbox Nation at one point. And your interaction with the community has been, a real stepping stone for you making yourself known to the community. What influenced you to go from gamer to podcast panel member? So Shady, I think you're on mute.
I'm on mute. That's my bad.
That's
Sorry
okay.
there.
Go right ahead.
Opened up this can of energy drink, and I didn't want that cracking through the mic. Either way, I thought this was a great question, to be honest, because like you said, I'm not actually a content creator. I just happened to do podcasts for about the last year and a half. And before that, I was just a listener for a little over a year. I was active in as many chats as I could. I would message guys here and there. I had no Twitter, no social media to speak of. I avoided that my entire adult life, just no interest. And somehow I became buddies with a couple guys within the community that over Xbox, and we were talking a bit. And I ended up in a party with Dealer Gaming and Colt Eastwood a couple times, and we just talked about games here and there. And all of a sudden, Dealer just said, "Hey, you know what? We're looking for maybe some new blood to join the show. I think you got a great voice. I like your opinions. Would you like to join?" Because I've told them before, but I like to share with the community that it was kind of a part of my secret Palpatine-like plan all along. Once I found out that there even was this podcast community, because that was a big one. I didn't know this was going on at all. So when I stumbled across it on YouTube there, I loved it. It was just like, oh my God, it's a bunch of guys just chilling, talking about games, what's coming out, the new hotness, what they like, what they hate. I was all over it. So I started listening and clicking on everyone's name that would pop onto these shows, see if they had a channel. And I was watching the shows just when they would randomly show up in my feed. I had no idea what times of the week they were or in the evening and stuff. So I would miss some and I would catch them on replay. But I got addicted fast, like really fast. I was listening to shows 1 or 2 times every day of the week when I first started. For almost a year, man, I was into it big time. And like I said, Dealer invited me on. I said yes, because that was kind of what I wanted, but I didn't want to be pushy. I didn't want to bombard him with messages about who I am. Can I join? Can I do this? Can I do that? I just wanted it to be organic. And if it happened, it happened. And it ended up working out. Like, wow, it was great. After just a party or 2, we talked. And next thing you know, I was on RDX. And that gave me a lot of visibility, if you will. So a lot of people started coming, That was when I made my Twitter, my very first ever social media presence. There's been some stumbles along the way. You got to kind of learn some etiquette as you go, I guess, on what's cool and what's not. That's fine. But I've had a great time since joining. Like you said, I've bounced around a couple different shows. I've guested on a whole bunch. And I'm honored every time. I love it so many times. I'll typically talk games with almost anybody. I tend to shy away now from the fearmongers and the people that are just out to critique everything. Video gaming for me is the ultimate hobby, the best hobby. I have looked past more problems in more games than ever and to find the good. That's why I'm here, is to find the good behind the garbage. Yeah, maybe this one game is too microtransactioned up. What else does it have on offer? I don't let 1 or 2 things ruin my experience. That is what I'm trying to bring to this community, is a big dose of positivity, a reality check on a lot of things, and just, I don't know, some energetic talk of games, man. I over-talk my own friends that are obsessed with games. They're like, all right, man, all right. It's enough video games. So I needed to find another outlet, and this worked perfectly for me. So I'm grateful to you. I'm on 2 of your shows every week, and to anyone else that'll have me on, shoot me a message and we'll talk. But that's why I got into it, man. It was happenstance with a little bit of planning, but I didn't want to be pushy, and I got lucky, and here I am.
Well, dude, it's great. It's great to have you on the panel. You're very clear with what you like, what you don't like. You don't shit on anyone that likes something that you don't. You respect their opinions, and that's really at the end of the day what's important. I want to move over to Tempestsun, because Tempest, obviously you don't have your own YouTube channel yet, and you probably should, because you really are very knowledgeable when it comes to gaming, and I think that your channel would flourish. I really do. I think you got a great voice for it. But here's my question to you, which of course comes to us from Waza55. What influenced you to go from gamer to podcast panel member?
Well, I have to say, well, thank you for the kind words, but I have to say my story is shockingly close to Shady's. It really is. I sat there. All I thought was there was the GameSpots, the Giant Bombs, the IGNs. I thought that's really all there was. And in fact, when I found out they had podcasts about things like Xbox and so on and so forth, like Podcast Unlocked, I've seen every show of theirs since episode like 150. I missed a few recently because reasons, but I thought that's all there was, and then come to find out there's this whole community that I was completely blind to. I had no clue. So the type of job I do, I'm by myself all day, and I'm in an environment where I can at least have one earbud in, so I'm just like bored, if you will, all day long, just completely by myself if I don't have anybody to talk to. So I found these podcasts, and along the way, I've said this publicly before, I'll say it again, my two favorite podcasts were BoomStick, yourself, and Shady. So I'm on the show with my two favorite podcast people, so I love it, and I'm thankful for it. That's how I got into it. Really, I just wanted to do it because it's fun, man. I mean, when you get on these shows, I guess people don't realize it is a show. You got to keep the ball rolling, but you really are just talking about your favorite hobby with like-minded people. So it's just a ton of fun. So I'm glad I have a weekly spot here on your show, Boom, and that's the reason why.
Well, it's a great reason, and obviously, thank you for the amazing compliment. I do greatly appreciate it. Again, it's great that we get a chance to work together. We get a chance to talk games, because at the end of the day, for me, it's all about playing games and working with this amazing community. But I want to go to Cybernox first. Last on this, and then I'll give my opinion. Because, Cyber, you do have a YouTube channel. You do have content. You do stream on Mixer. You are out there handshaking with the community. And you, very much like Tempestsun, were new to the podcast game, and it's great to have you a part of this show. But what influenced you personally to go from gamer to content creator and, of course, panel member?
Oh, Boom. Ever since my brother took me to an arcade when I was real little to see in Mortal Kombat, ever since that point, I fell in love with games. I've always been in love with games. So whenever there was a chance I can talk about games, hear the people's passion the same way that I'm passionate about games, I was like, yes, like I want to do that. I used to I still to this day I love watching, not just playing games, but I love watching games. I love hearing people talking about games. My friend circle, casual gamer, so we talk about a bunch of stuff, and gaming is usually just here and there. But when you find a community where you're talking about games consistently and with the same, like I said, the same passion, and you want to hear more about it, you don't get, kind of like what Shady alluded to, you can talk more about games to your gamer friends. They're like, all right, enough about games. Let's talk about something else. Ever since I started, finding a community, finding podcasts, and just finding any little thing that I could about games, I was just like, you know what, I want to be a part of that. I want to try to start putting my content out there as well, trying to be more of a member, of a more active member of this community. But it's kind of like everyone here, everybody loves games. You just love talking about games. And you, Boom, you reached out to me. You were the first person that reached out to me, and it kind of like Shady alluded to earlier as well. It's all organically, everything just flows pretty well, and I'll be doing this until I can. So I always appreciate it.
It's great to have you, dude. It's definitely great to have you. In fact, it's great to have everybody on this panel. When I sat back and was talking with the missus, and I came to the realization that I wanted to do a night show. These folks that are on here were the only people on the list, and of course, thankfully, they all agreed to be panel members because they're like-minded, they're gamers first, they're community members that exemplify what it means to be a community member, not just by title, but by actual actions on what they do and how they interact with the community. And that's what I want for my shows. That's why I have the people on the Breakfast with Boom panel. That's why I work with, of course, the Welsh Gamer on Thursdays. But for me personally, a couple of years ago, while I was still working as a New York City police officer, I listened to... I thought that the only thing that existed was the IGNs and the Giant Bombs and the Gamertag radios and Game Informer. And I was subscribed to everyone. In fact, I used to even pay the $30 a year to IGN, to help them keep the lights on. You know what I'm saying? I bought into that. And I would Patreon a few others, which I won't even mention because I'm no longer Patreon, some of these sites. And, 2014 happens, and the shift of the way coverage was done, especially for the Xbox, was very negative. And I started to. You ever listen to a show and you're at your end of the radio and someone's saying something and it's not right and you want to say something, like you really want to say something right then and there? It was because of those instances that made me put podcasting on the bucket list, so to speak. And and I've told this story before. A lot of people are new, so I'm going to tell it again. Mooch, the famous Mooch, who you know from Xbox Nation and Crossfire and M&C Mornings.
Who's yelling?
Who's yelling? Hashtag fun, right? Hashtag who's yelling. I reached out to him because I was a fan of Crossfire. I used to listen to all the time. I never used to listen at night because I was spending time with the missus, but I would listen, at the gym or when I was shopping or doing the wash or something. And I had reached out to him and I said, hey, listen, do you ever invite people from the community on? And I thought that this was going to be like a one-time thing, right? Like I was going to get on, bucket list, something else crossed off, right? That's great. I was on a show. I got to talk about video games. And then I was asked back a second time and then a third time. And then he asked me to be a regular panel member. And he runs a good show on Crossfire. And I was there for almost for over 2 years. I spent a lot of time there, a lot of opinion, a lot of strong opinions. And midway through the 2-year period, I decided that gaming on just a controller wasn't going to be enough for me. That I needed to get out there and do something with the community, talk with the community, speak to people that are like me. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I had the ideology to make Double Barrel Gaming, and and I'm always thinking outside the box to what I can add to the channel to make it more fun, to make it more accessible. But this was a fantastic question. I'm really happy with everybody's answers. Thanks. I want to thank Waza55 of Twitter for sending that in, dude. That was a great question.
One more thing, Boom, I wanted to say, you did mention that I have a YouTube channel with zero content. But there is 97 agents already sitting on the ground floor waiting. And I was going to say, there might be a way to get me to jump from being a podcaster to also a content creator. And that's if I can get 3 more. And let me tell you right now, the little fire under my butt might get lit up to be a raging one to start actually putting some stuff up there. I'm tired of getting messages saying that some people want to see it and I'm not doing anything, but let's do 3 more and let me know that there's a few more people that want to see it, and I'll do it. I'll start.
Shady, let's go.
Yeah, well, I think 3. Shady, I think you can get. I think you can get 3 by the end of the evening. That should not be a problem.
You're gonna get 3 right now.
Oh well, there you go. 100. Excellent.
One more thing on that.
Sure.
It just feels like a breath of fresh air, doesn't it, Boom? When like you just keep hearing like you kind of what you say, like the IGNs, like the GameStop podcast, like the Giant Bombs, then all of a sudden you go on YouTube and you find somebody. that person just feels like another gamer, just like you, just talking about games and maybe bringing up ideas that you're also thinking about, and saying things that you wanted to say that some of these, other big podcasts don't say anything. So it's always awesome when that happens, man.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's funny because obviously the kids of today, they're so technologically advanced. Like they're doing YouTube at 3, right? So here's this lunkering old man, finding YouTube for the first time and be like, wait a second, there are people that talk that actually like these things that I like. Holy shit! Now I got to start subscribing to people. And yeah, it is nice. You know what I'm saying? And you know what, the nice thing about YouTube is if someone you're subscribed to, changes, let's say for instance their script of what you could always unsubscribe. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you don't have to listen. There are so many great content creators on on YouTube that are still positive about gaming. Yeah, folks, that actually still exist. Enjoying games for #fun. I mean, I don't know. But speaking of fun, I want to move on to the one of the main topics of tonight's show, and it's been in everyone's mouth. Borderlands 3 has officially launched. And right now, it's getting pretty good reviews. And of course, I am very excited to play the long-running franchise. In fact, I dare say it might be the best-looking one so far. And I've talked to several people. I've actually went on to Mixer. I've watched a few streams. I've watched a ton of video. But, the one thing that cannot be escaped when talking about Borderlands, and I'm sure there's going to be people in the chat that say, wait a second, Boom. You don't have Borderlands 3. That's, Boom buys everything. And I wrote about this on Twitter. As you grow as a content creator, you want to start doing bigger things. And, obviously, plenty of people came by and saw my review of Gears 5. And I was extremely, extremely blessed to have Microsoft and the Coalition send me a review copy. It's never happened in my career yet. This is the first time, and it's a big one. And obviously I went to E3 this year, and I met a few people from 2K, which I kind of thought that, when the time came, I was going to get a chance to actually review a game that I really was looking forward to. And I've been after PR for quite some time, and it turns out that, I shouldn't feel offended because there were a lot of bigger sites that have millions and millions of subs as opposed to my little, under 3,000 that actually got snubbed as well. And, we were all talking privately before the show went live, and we're going to kind of bring that conversation forward into into this show right now. It turns out that the bugs that are hampering all versions of this game might have been at the center of not sending out the codes except for certain people. And Shady, I believe it was you that were telling me, what were the specifics of those codes that were sent out?
They just went up to very, very few sites, and they were already on pre-made accounts with Epic Games through 2K, and you got to play like a pre-build of the PC. And I guess there was a long list of things that you weren't allowed to mention in the reviews. Don't talk about this if that issue comes up, yada, yada. So a lot of outlets just kind of cried foul, It's called it shady, if you will. I mean, I'll back it up. It seemed like they were just kind of picking outlets that they were hoping or kind of could expect to get a positive review from, given the circumstances that they laid out. But from what I've heard, next to nobody, no matter how big of an influencer, let's call it, some of these YouTubers are, they didn't get them. So, whoever didn't, don't feel bad. They just, they weren't doing it that way. So there's a lot to be had. And with the technical performance issues, since it's launched across the board for some people, not everybody, you can kind of understand maybe why they did it, but that's not a good thing. That doesn't justify it. But it didn't launch perfect, needless to say.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, and it just, since the unveiling of this game at PAX at the beginning of this year, this game has had a stink on it. And I don't necessarily mean that the game isn't good, because the game, there are a lot of people. I mean, people are posting pictures with new outfits that they find, and I've heard that a lot of people are really enjoying it, despite the clipping and the falling through the world and, you know, the stuttering. But it is shocking to me that, you know, if you look back, like, it's almost like this game is cursed. And I'm not trying to be superstitious by any stretch of the truth, but if you think about it, you know, during that PAX, and I believe it was PAX Prime. It wasn't PAX East, from what I understand. That's the PAX Prime is the Mecca. It's the big one in Seattle. And, you know, obviously Randy Pitchford was doing the magic tricks, if you guys remember that, as they were trying to get the computer working, and it was a big cluster.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant, but a cluster all at the same time. And right after PAX Prime, he starts, you know, obviously Randy Pitchford has been in the news recently because he supposedly, again, folks, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. I'm not investigating this. My days in the NYPD are done, so I'm not investigating this, but I'm only telling you what I read. Apparently, there was something, the word embezzlement or wrongful use of funds in the amount of $3 million has been touted. And from there,
money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. And then from there, leading up to, of course, you know, and again, I got a chance. Now, I got to get on the show floor and play Borderlands 3, though I didn't play it. I was working with someone from the Iron Lords. I let him play, and I just recorded video for the channel. And the game looked and ran magnificent. Now, I don't know what build we were playing. I don't know if that was the Xbox One. It's probably the PC version. And now we're starting to hear like little things trickle out where the Xbox One X version is basically the PS4 Pro version. And I gotta be honest, like I'm a little taken aback because, you know, I thought you aim high and then you kind of, you know, fix it as you go lower. And again, it's just one of those things, like what's been going on at the development level here. First of all, Clowns, I want to go to you because you actually been playing the game, according to your words, obsessively. So you're obviously having a good time, but are you recognizing these types of clipping issues that people are recording and putting out there on social media, and any other problems that you've run into?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the game for me is great. I love it, but I can't deny the fact that there is bugs in it. We experience lag if it's 3 or more people, like really bad frame rate lag in multiplayer and co-op or whatever. And also at certain times, like I just fall through the floor. If I'm playing just with one buddy of mine, endless falling through the floor. It just doesn't stop. We've had audio issues getting in and out of vehicles.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes we're in different parts of the map. Like I might have audio issues, and then, you know, my buddy might have audio issues in another part. So yeah, it certainly has its issues. But, you know, even with that, Boom, I've played it so much that I already have Flack the Beastmaster almost, leveled out as far as beating the game. We have done Mayhem 3 mode already, True Vault Hunter, working on the Gunner. So yeah, I'm just playing it nonstop, even with those bugs.
Okay, listen. Obviously, that's the craziness that lets you know how good the game actually is. If you could play that much, get the kind of ranking you have, and really enjoy yourself, even despite some of the bugs, that's saying something about the quality of the game.
And Clowns is a gamer, to be honest. Lets me know he's a real gamer. Again, see past the stuff. We, as a gamer for 30 plus years, man, every game has issues. You see past those and you get to the good, the meat and potatoes, which is there. There's some enjoyment to be had.
As you're playing on Xbox, PC?
Xbox.
Because I know the PC crowd has been having a lot of issues too.
Yeah, you know,
more variables there.
To be honest, though, I've seen some things on the PC that people are posting. I haven't looked at it myself personally, but just from what other people are posting, the game has a lot of background apps running from within itself. And a lot of people are not sure if those are just, you know, ways to track people or what type of data it tracks, but it affects a lot of people with slower connections.
Yeah, I also heard the DRM is stopping people from streaming it properly too.
Oh
Did you
wow.
know though? I think that like eats up 2 meg of your upload speed or something like that. Their DRM implementation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there
Yeah.
are too many bugs and glitches for a launch game, or do you think it's just something normal that they'll be able to fix it? You know,
They'll fix it. Yeah, I think.
I think it'll be patched eventually. Maybe each thing separately, not all at once, so they don't mess it up again. But it shouldn't stop somebody from playing the game if you're a Borderlands fan.
right.
Audio glitches and stuff. Yeah. Falling through the map's kind of lame, but
Sure, it's just not like a high level skill. You can just
That's a secret skill you can unlock.
Real
Falling
quick.
through
Just-
the world. Yes.
just shoot people's crotches from below and do it.
Yeah, I know. I had to be transported twice to get out of that fallen glitch. My friend had to transport me.
Oh wow!
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, and I'm first of all, I'm happy to hear that everyone is enjoying themselves. I mean, there were a lot of people having fun. Like I said, at the end of the day, this is gaming, folks. That's the important thing. That's what we all strive for when it comes to buying the games. You know, and obviously this is a talk show, so I mean, it's some issue, so we're not going to harp on it, but we have to discuss it. I am going to say the only thing that I'm slightly, maybe even middle way through disappointed is that the social media is for both Borderlands and Gearbox has been dead silent. Like they have not been addressing this with the community, and I think that is that's a real bummer. I got to be honest with you. I mean, obviously Gears 5 came out. The review copies ran great, and they ran into some issues once everyone went live. They didn't expect 3 times the amount of people, but at least the coalition and Microsoft's like, hey, listen, folks, we understand. Stay tuned to social media. We're working on patches right now, and they're constantly keeping the community at large, in the rearview mirror, so we understand what's going on. Whereas there hasn't been a lot of talk from either of their social media sites, and like I said, it is a bit of a bummer.
Randy,
I wasn't looking for it myself. I heard they were doing something in 30 days. Like they wanted to do a 30-day patch, so it was done right and had the time to make sure that it didn't come in and screw up other things. They didn't want to rush patches. So I think they did say that somewhere. I had a follower telling me that was the plan, was like 30-day. Kind of like, we have to wait 30 days for them to iron out kind of what these people are dealing with. That's not the best, but
Yeah, it's a
if
little
they
rough.
come in every week, like if they're patching it every few days and every other patch is screwing up something else along the like, it can get to be a bit of a nightmare both for the player and the developer. So I can see it being an all right thing to do that, but I haven't seen them say that myself. So I'm going by hearsay.
To Boom's point, their radio is silent after the game drops and there's legitimate problems, but before the game drop, man, I mean, I don't have anything against Randy Pitchford. In fact, I kind of like developers like that don't take people's bullcrap or journalist bullcrap. I mean, I kind of like that, but he wouldn't keep his mouth shut. He kept getting himself in trouble.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, yeah.
Now all of a sudden, the game drops and it's like crickets out there. So
Yeah, isn't that a bit concerning too, though? Kind of like you said, even if they wanted to patch this game within the next 30 days, I know gamers, we hate delays, but sometimes isn't just push it off a little bit. I know it's the holiday season is coming up, and game is gonna start getting real crazy, and a lot more games are gonna start coming out, but you just leave a bad taste in people's mouths right from the get-go. We all know that they're gonna fix it, right? But it's just like,
I've seen some quick turnarounds though in games that have issues. There's been some quick patches, like quick right after launch patches to fix some serious issues. So if it takes them a full month, I haven't bought it yet. I really want to, but I'm just busy playing other things. But it's just
so many games.
There's too many. Yeah, that's for sure. But
There's a lot. I actually just got my very first hour into the game right before the show, and I was blown away. I'm playing on the X, and I put it into the performance 60 frame mode. And for me, I was playing alone, and it was running butter smooth the whole time. I got to, I think, almost rank 5. I'm on like the second main mission. I did a side mission already. And instantly, I noticed that the graphics were way better than
the
previous
original.
Borderlands
Okay,
games.
good.
Like the amount of detail on everything is just so much more. It looks fantastic. All the little item boxes and loot chests you open, they all open up in this really cool mechanical way. it all just looks fantastic. It's really tight, and this is 1080p blown up on my 65-inch 4K, and it still looks fantastic, and it was running really smooth. The gunplay, though, was such an improvement. My God. The guns, I've only had about a dozen of them, which, I mean, only a dozen different guns in the hour that I played. And they were all feeling great, man. The first pistol I had, I was blowing guys' heads off, like 50, 60 feet minimum. The gore is back in Borderlands, man. That was what upset me about Borderlands 2, was it was toned down from the original, man. The bodies weren't melting from the acid anymore. They weren't exploding into big piles of gibs. Like, it just felt toned down. It is back. Heads are coming off. Brains are flying everywhere. The intro to the game, like the psycho gets hit by the truck or the vehicle ripping by, and it zooms in and like his gibs are all in the grill of the truck hanging off. He's holding the Borderlands flyer. It was so good, man. I was grinning. Not all the comedy is going to land in a game that is not as nonstop as Borderlands is. But so far, I've had more good comedy moments than bad, if you will. I think it's funny. I got no problem admitting that I can laugh at a dick and fart joke or rolling around in shit joke. Like, it's funny, man. It's funny. I'm not all highbrow. I only laugh at the highest of jokes. No, I laugh at all jokes. Anything goes. And I'm loving it, man. The color is vibrant as hell. The detail is jacked. The gunplay, which to me is like the most important part of a shooter, is so much better. It feels great, man. I picked up a shotgun and blew this dude's torso off. His spine is hanging out of the top. I loved it, baby. I couldn't believe it. I was not expecting that level of violence from Borderlands again. And my God, I can't wait for my first acid gun, my freezing guns to ice dudes up. I want to electrocute guys and see if they, their eyes pop out of their skulls like they did in the first one. I'm really excited for this, man. I didn't play it during the weekend because a little over a week ago, I hurt my left hand while we were doing a bunch of cleanup stuff, getting ready for winter. And it just hurts to make a fist. So it hurts the game.
Wow.
So I didn't want to game a whole lot. Plus, I just had a couple other things going down. So I didn't do it on the weekend. The community is talking about, frame issues and this and that, non-optimal. So I'm kind of like, well, that sucks. But I watched a bit of my brother playing. He's loving it, and he's kind of pissed that I'm not playing with him, to be honest. Rightfully so, because like I said, the hour I played today, granted it was only the hour, and I was playing alone, no co-op. But man, I loved it. It's violent as hell. It plays so tight. It looks good. For me, at least, the comedy is landing right now. Anyways, right now.
I like that humor, so it's gonna hit for me. I got to figure out when I'm actually gonna pick it up, because obviously I put all my eggs in one basket with PR, hoping to get a copy, and that didn't happen. So
listen, don't let any of these glitches or anything like that scare you away.
No, I was getting it regardless. Yeah,
it is far and away to me already the best playing and looking Borderlands. It's fantastic. I recommend it to anyone, fan of shooters, fan of looter shooters, and especially fans of Borderlands. Get in there, man. It is good. Don't let these weird tech issues get in the way. I don't think they're game breaking. Just accept them. It's a video game. Restart your thing, reload, and go and loot, man, because there is so much loot to be had. It's glorious.
There's the dogs.
Real quick, for everyone that bought like the big edition, we have the big one. You had to like go in and manage your game and actually install all the bonus goodies separately after launch on its own. My brother didn't do that. So he didn't have the cool like neon skin and the gold skins. You can skin up every single gun individually, which I thought was awesome. So I'm skinning them up every time I get them with like the butt unicorn or something like that. It's all neon, purple and pink. The stallion. It looks hilarious. It's either that or it's the gold one. My character has the retro outfit coloring. I loved it. It was great how I'm already getting my peacock on. I've been playing for less than an hour. I can't wait to get back into it right after the show, man. It's fantastic, and it has a huge double thumbs up recommendation from me, man.
Excellent. Would anyone else like to add anything in regards to Borderlands 3 before we move on to the next topic?
I got a quick question. Is it shared loot still, or is it just everybody?
It's an option. You can choose. You can be like cooperative loot for so you get it and you get it alone. It's individual, or you can share it old school style where and I love their wording where it's like vacuum up all that loot and tell people there was nothing there, right? They had some comedy in that. So they do have both options. And something else that I loved, which I had a big problem with previous Borderlands, was the leveling. If you tried to play with a buddy who was 5, 10, 15 levels ahead.
Yeah.
It was impossible. It wasn't happening. Whereas this has options that it'll scale the difficulty, or you can turn that off.
That's great.
So if you're higher than your buddy or vice versa, but you want to play together anyways, you turn the scaling on and you can play together. Or if you want to go old school, make it so you need to be similar levels to play and it won't help you at all, you can have that on as well. I really like that. And then there's even an easy mode for the people that, you know, don't want to have the game challenge or what have you. And then there's normal. So there is difficulties as well. And then you can also remap every single button on the controller, which is almost never, ever in console options, is remapping every single button on the controller. This game has a ton of accessibility options. It's really, really, really deep in that regard as well, and worth mentioning, I feel.
I have a question, and maybe you can answer this, or Clowns. Do you know if the... Huh?
Go ahead. What were you asking?
Oh, I was asking if does the Xbox version support mouse and keyboard? Because I tried that recently on Gears, just for the crap of it. I was just sitting there on my couch and I just decided to extend it, and it was pretty cool being able to do that. So I just wanted to see if the option was there on.
No, I didn't see it front and center anywhere, but I wasn't looking for that. But knowing that it's in Gears, I might actually pick that up, because I know for a fact there's a couple of mouse and keyboard wizards playing that arcade mode, sniping my head from damn near football field and blink of an eye. And I know it. When I look at the kill cam, I'm like, that is a skilled mouse and keyboard player. Guaranteed. Yeah. I'm fine with it. I just knowing that I can just plug them into my box now I'm playing, I'm gonna try it out.
Hey, it's an option, man. It's like, why not why not utilize it? You know,
I'm not sure with Borderlands, but I'll have a look, man, after the show.
Cool. All right.
Nice. Well, listen, this has been a great topic, and obviously Borderlands, a lot of people are enjoying it. Again, if you're having some issues, obviously a patch is going to be incoming. Hopefully they do get on social media and let people know, and I'm going to get my hands on it as soon as possible. But I want to move on to the next topic. You know, this particular topic is a fun one. It's something that while I was writing it, I had a big smile on my face. And you know, if you remember the Nintendo GameCube era, one particular Mario title that is still thought of as one of the best ones in the series. And I'm talking, of course, about Mario Sunshine. And it was so different than your standard 3D Mario, I'm sorry, that we all know and love. And the story was pulled, this particular story is pulled from the pages of comicbook.com. You know what? They're reporting that the GameCube Classic may, in fact, be seeing a revival on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm all for that. Thanks to some cryptic tweets on the official Twitter account of Nintendo, Mario teased, they were kind of like, stoking the fires a little bit. And this is exactly what they had to say on that tweet. Every Mario needs a little hashtag summer vacation. No matter where your summer odyssey took you, we hope it's filled with sunshine. And of course, people went crazy because there are a lot of folks, including myself, who look to the GameCube era as some of the best Mario titles. I mean, you talk about Mario Sunshine, it was so different than anything that we were used to playing. And of course, you had Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, which are still heralded as some of the best. And of course, folks, I want you to understand, this is pure speculation, but I don't believe in coincidences. And I'm going to say that on August 26th, 2002 is when the game launched, and this was in right around that avenue of the 26th of August. And even though we're talking about it a little bit later, I found this story and I figured it would be fun to talk about. So here's my question for the panels and clowns. You're an old school G like myself. I have two questions for you. Do you want to see Mario Sunshine on the Switch? But more specifically, would you like to see them go crazy and not only release Mario Sunshine, but also GameCube era phenomenons Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2?
Yeah, absolutely, Boom. And I'll tell you why. You're not going to believe this, but when it came to the GameCube, I kind of bypassed that. I don't know what I was... Yes. And I went back and I played Mario Sunshine recently, like a little bit here and there. and I'm sorry I missed that game. It looks like so much fun. The animation is excellent. There's humor in it. It's just, I mean, it was top notch for its time. And if they do a Switch version of that, you can bet that I'm going to go ahead and buy that and play that nonstop till I beat it. I mean, I love those Mario games, and I should have never passed it up in its era.
Yeah, those 3 particular Mario games really, really are probably like in the crown jewel of Mario games, and it would be pretty amazing. I mean, again, I actually don't want to see them all released at the same time, to be honest. I know that sounds like, boom, what are you talking about? Get them all. But I would rather them stagnate the release. You know, give us Sunshine, let us enjoy that, let us beat that. Then say, you know, surprise us at, you know, at you know, on one of the small Nintendo events that they have, and say, hey, you know, the Switch version of Sunshine sold so well that we're gonna bring Super Mario Galaxy, and that would be actually super cool. But I also want to, Shady, you know, you are an old school guy like us, and you obviously have a tremendous history with the Mario franchise. Would you like to see Sunshine and potentially Galaxy 1 and 2 possibly come to the Switch?
Would, but at the same time, of releasing old games jacked up, like what they did with Spyro and Crash Team Racing, a full remake with Resident Evil, Halo 1 remaster, Halo 2 remaster, Gears 1 Ultimate. Like, I'm fine with them releasing the original game, but, and I'm not talking about just a resolution boost, damn it. I want to see, like, just more. Put more of everything in. I know Nintendo games almost age the best because of the cartoon-like aesthetic. You know what I mean? They tend to look great for a long time because they still look the same as you remember. They look like Mario. It's not trying to emulate reality. Those are the games that age the worst. The ones that try to look real come back in 7 years or whatever, and it's like, my God, that's terrible looking skin, but not Mario. Either way, so I want them to go and re-release them, but do more than just an HD remake. I'd like to see them like jack them up to the Mario Odyssey engine, where everything is just way more detailed. There's more polygons on everything. Everything's more rounded. There's more bushes and stuff like that all around the world. I think that would be really cool. But if they're not going to go that route and just do an HD re-release, they got to be cheap. I
got you, like $25. You know, I got to give a big shout out to Brian Wright. For some reason, I can't believe I made that mistake. I said that Galaxy 1 and 2 were actually on the GameCube, but they were not. They were on the Wii.
I was going to let it slide, but considering he didn't, I know you did. What a rook move! Boom,
that's a knucklehead move right there. And I have it in my notes. I don't even understand what happened just then. But thank you for the correction, Mr. Brian Wright. Appreciate you being here. But you know what? Listen, I enjoy Nintendo's Disney-like characters. Like if there's one thing that Nintendo can be compared to, it's Disney, because there's always so much magic that goes into their titles. I mean, if you just look at 2019, what they've accomplished with all of the different second and third party exclusives, as well as their own stuff coming on. We're going to be talking about an exclusive that launches on the 20th. We'll be talking about that in a second. But I want to get to the rest of the panel. Cybernox, you know, obviously you appreciate the classics. And the Switch has you know, it's the perfect platform to see some of these older games revived, you know. And again, I agree with Shady. I just don't want them to kind of just throw HD at the end of the title and charge me $60. I want them to go in there and I want them to clean it up, and that's why I think we're going to get these games in a stagnant release, because Nintendo, you know, you remember the old back in the days, the seal of quality, right? Like, it would be on every box. If you get that gold seal, you can rest assured that the game worked and it was amazing. And I still think that you get that. In your opinion, you know, and I'm not sure if you're actually a Switch owner. I believe that you might be. Would you consider buying Sunshine and possibly Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 as Switch ports redone in a proper manner?
I've been staying real quiet because I thought you were going to forget about me and just skip me on this subject. Just because I had my last Nintendo console that I had was the N64.
Okay.
After that, I just grew out of Nintendo. I don't know what happened. I just went a completely, totally different direction. But like to me, like Zelda Ocarina of Time is like one of my favorite games, right? And I know Mario has the same kind of affection on people as Zelda does as well. I'm with you. I'm with Shady and you as that if they want to bring this game to the Switch, a complete remake, not a complete remake, but not just a little remaster. It's got to be in the level of Resident Evil 2, what they did to it this year. It's got to be something that's gonna wow all the Nintendo fans. But Nintendo fans are, let me tell you, they're like the most loyal fan base out there.
Yeah.
Whatever Nintendo puts out, they know that they want to support the brand. They know they want to support the game, so they'll
Yep.
gobble it up. And I just hope that they'll get the quality that that they deserve. So, um,
I mean, listen. At least you're honest about it. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be like,
have to be,
yeah, I
mean?
kind of have a
People
Switch,
call
but
you
I
all
don't.
out on it, So,
Listen, again, and I say this all the time, folks. Not every game or every console is for every gamer. You know what I'm saying? And if you outgrow something, well, then you're not going to support it. And I definitely appreciate the honesty. Tempestsun, I want to go to you because, obviously, you've been around a while and you appreciate gaming from the simplistic to the most advanced. And the Switch may lack in power as opposed to the PlayStation 4 Pro or of course the Xbox One X, but when it comes to software, man, that's where they really step out of the shadows, right? Prime time, front and center. And these particular games not only are considered classics by the rabid fan base, but they are just quality Mario titles, all three of them. And I'm hoping for a renaissance of some sort when it comes to their older franchises that they had on the GameCube and even going back, to the Wii as well, because they were well made then and they would do very well in regards to sales, but more specifically, bringing some of the younger generation who weren't around for the GameCube and Switch era. The Wii era, to experience these games, and some of the older bastards like ourselves to re-experience these games. What are your thoughts on them possibly releasing Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 on the Switch?
Okay, Boom, you said possibly, but this is Nintendo. You liken them to Disney, just like Disney.
Yes.
Their re-releases have digital remasters of their re-releases. All right, so they're gonna sell it. They're gonna sell it now. You can almost lock it in, guarantee it. And guess what? 5 years from now, on the next Nintendo system, they're gonna open up an eShop where, guess what? You can buy the re-release of Mario Sunshine. So it's just going to happen. They're already doing this. They're pretty much re-releasing the entire Wii U games library on the Switch. Just one by one, they're just re-releasing all of those games. So this is a bit more of a nostalgia pill, doing Sunshine. I played Sunshine briefly. I think my wife actually really liked that one as opposed to
so
Galaxy.
Colorful, so different than all the other just standard Marios.
Yeah, the mechanic of cleaning up the area, and by the time you were done, you wound up with like a lush tropical looking beach paradise type thing. I believe that one was much more like you had like one area mainly that you kept on cleaning up, and it wasn't like Galaxies where it's just every 10 minutes you're hopping on to a new planet or a new different locale, something like that. And I actually kind of like that. I do also remember liking Sunshine more than the Galaxy titles, but it's been a while, and like you said, man, this is Nintendo. Just like you said, they're just like Disney. People, they buy this stuff, man, and it's never going to stop. Nor should it. There's something out there for everybody when it comes to Nintendo. You got to give them credit where credit is due, and it's just going to keep on going. And you are right. It's going to sell like gangbusters. And as soon as this one sells a lot, Galaxy 1 and 2 are next. I mean, maybe they should come out with 1 and 2 in a bundle.
And maybe the bundle. That would be great. That would be a lot of fun.
Cool. They can't really. I don't know what they could do as far as. I mean, if you go back, those games do hold up very well. I mean, if you do just give it a res boost, you're almost looking at Mario Odyssey, just sunshine. I mean, honestly. So. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I haven't played too much of those Mario games. To me, I always played them for a little bit and then like moved on to other things. Maybe with it being portable, maybe when I'm on the John or something, I can sit there and finally actually beat a Mario game, because I never beat them. I always play them and enjoy them, but I've never beat them. So maybe it's time to beat one.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Again, those they have some girth to them, because they're packed with stars or coins to find. There's always something to do. There's secrets all over the place, and I for one would be there day one. But I kind of want to just segue. And when you talk about remasters, when you talk about the Nintendo magic. No bigger magic has been on display in the last week or so than The Legend of Zelda Links Awakening, which got a new trailer and quite frankly was mind-blowing incredible. Now, this was originally released on the Game Boy on June 6th of 1993, okay? There are people listening right now that weren't even born by then. I mean, it's crazy. But this has been remade in the Nintendo way that you would absolutely expect. It has a gorgeous presentation. I might say, and I think I will dare say, that it's the best looking Switch title to date. Now, I'm a big Amiibo fan. I've taken pictures of my collection. I put them on Twitter. I own all of them except for like the last 2 sets that released. And the graphics on display, They look like you could reach into your screen and take them out as amiibos. That's how unbelievably graphical this game is. And, I have to say, it comes out at the end of the week, and typical Nintendo fashion. And it's another first-party exclusive that you can only find on the Switch. And it's something that Nintendo, not only have they done it right since the launch of the Switch in 2017, but they continue to pound the pavement and banging the drum that even though power, they're short, they have shortcomings in regards to power, but whatever power is there, they are like magicians and they know how to work it. And I had sent you guys in the DM the new trailer. And Clowns, I want to go to you first on this, dude. Did you get a chance to look at the trailer, and what are your thoughts on the new Legend of Zelda that's releasing in a couple of days?
Oh my god, I am head over heels in love with this game, Boom. I am an old school gamer, so I liked it when it originally came out, but now it's got like a fresh take with, cartoony Nintendo style graphics, and it looks just like a lot of fun. The detail is amazing. I like the way that it blows my mind, man. I can't believe they did this. And there's some stuff in that trailer that really piqued my interest, like fishing. I saw that in there, and that was kind of cool. I don't know if you guys noticed that with that big fish, and he's just looking at you with the fishing pole. That was awesome. Nintendo's really marketing their stuff great, and it's just making a lot of the old school fans and a lot of new school fans excited. And this is what game companies should do.
Yes.
And I think this is what Shady was alluding to if they were to, start to remake some other Nintendo stuff. Give it this kind of makeover.
Yes, that's a great point. Great point. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm excited, man.
I mean, listen, you're an old school guy, and when you remember, because obviously if we both picked up the Game Boy in 1993 and we looked at it, we'd be like, you'd get that Drake thing where he's putting his hand to the side where he doesn't want it, and you see this. This is so much more than a remake. It is a re-envisioning, and what's crazy is I've seen the trailer. I've seen actually quite a few different trailers where there are actual Mario characters in this game, which is Yes.
I saw that too. Yeah, Kirby was
Yeah.
in there.
Yes, yes. There are other Nintendo characters making guest appearances in this game, which completely just hits all the switches of nostalgia across the board. Cyber, being that you jumped in, I'm gonna get your opinion. I understand that you kind of grew out of Nintendo, but there's no denying that when you see something this amazing, this
Absolutely
something
not.
so drastically different than what we got in '93 to what they're doing now. What are your thoughts on that?
But yeah, just because I grew out of it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't keep up with it or I don't recognize quality. You know what I mean? You can see what the work that they've done in this on this game. It looks absolutely amazing. It looks fantastic. And kind of what you just mentioned. They're going to be putting like new characters in there too. From other genres. So it just makes it that much more appealing to anyone that wants to play that game. And I love Zelda. Zelda on the Nintendo, to me, Zelda is like my #1 franchise.
Yes.
So when I saw this, it just looked amazing. And now with my little guy, I don't know. Maybe it is time for me.
I was just about to ask you a question. It's funny because when you talk about Nintendo, you talk about kids. And, listen, I'm a big old kid at 48, which I'll be 49, I think, in a week or so, but I won't get specific on the date. But, I still feel as giddy when I start a Nintendo game as I did when I got it for my 15th birthday in 1985. I know that some people will be like, oh, I can't believe that. Dude, I have never grown up, man. I have been a Toys R Us kid since Toys R Us was a thing. And I'm always going to be this way, and I am so excited. My question to you is, you talk about, of course, you're a little guy. Would a game like the Zelda that's going to be released in a couple of days, even though we know it's really for you, but could you psych yourself out to say, you know what? Little Johnny needs a Nintendo.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think that's probably one of the first consoles you probably get your kid is like a Nintendo console. It's a friendly console. The kind of games that are on there. I know there are a lot more mature games coming in over to the Switch, but when you think about Nintendo, you kind of like what you said, you think about like Disney, you think about a more like Pixar, Disney, cartoonish graphics, something that everybody can enjoy. So yeah, I mean, the more I look, the more I see. I've been thinking of actually a little bit about it recently, on the go a lot now, and maybe it's time for me to pick up a Switch, and see if I can get back to my old Nintendo days. So
well, I
100%.
I will say this:
that
if you do get a Switch, you got to get the Zelda that released on it on launch day.
Oh yeah,
I mean that game was
100%.
I enjoyed cooking more than I enjoyed fighting. To be honest with you, I shouldn't be saying that publicly, but I enjoyed the cooking aspect of it. But before I get to Tempestsun on this, because he has several kids and they still have a Nintendo Switch. Atrocity Knights with the outstanding $2 super chat. He says, I want Mario Strikers to make a comeback. Listen, Mario Strikers was great, and I would love to see that come back. I love all the Mario titles: Mario Party, Tennis, Golf, and Strikers. I'll take it all. But Tempestsun, you like RPGs, and this may not be Oblivion, or this may not be Fallout, Fallout 4 RPG level. But when it comes to Zelda, there's all kinds of mechanics, and this harkens back to the original Zeldas that we all grew up with and appreciated, except the graphics are mind-numbing. What are your thoughts on the trailer, dude?
You know what? I'm actually excited for this. I don't want to say actually, like I hate Zelda or anything, but what I mean by that is I honestly never played this one back on the NES days. Just never played it, so seeing it redone like this is very interesting. To me, it's a different take on Zelda, even though it was the original, because my first one was Ocarina of Time. So I grew up with the 3D Zeldas, if you will. So saying this is pretty cool. I don't know if I know they're pretty intricate from what I understand with the puzzles and stuff like that. Like it's an old school dungeon you got to figure out. So I don't know if it would be good for my kids or not. I don't know. I mean, you've played the old ones. Do you think like a 4 and 7 year old could find their way through the maps, or
You know what? Because it's Nintendo, I would not doubt that there's some sort of a kid-friendly mode that would allow for, you know, the hardcore to get in there and do your Zelda thing, but also just let the kids go crazy. The one thing about Nintendo is that they do offer options, especially for the younger audience.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you got to give credit where credit's due. One thing, Mario Kart 8, different game, but I agree with you, or they might do that. Mario Kart 8, if anybody doesn't know, you can literally, there's 2 assist options.
Yes. Yep.
One's for driving, just going forward, and one's for making turns. So my 4-year-old daughter, she's desperately wanting to find a game that's more like her level or whatever, but she's played the heck out of Mario Kart 8 because she can. You know, she doesn't know like really the concept of winning yet, so she'll get 12th place and she's like, "Daddy, look, I won." I'm like, "That's awesome." You know?
That's great. I love
it. Yeah, so if this has any, I've been looking for a game for her, so I'll do some more research on it, find out, because you can't deny the art style. It's adorable. I mean, honestly, it looks cute. So
I tell you something, it's that Nintendo magic that listen, we know what Microsoft and Sony bring to the table, right? We don't even have to bring them into the conversation. But when it comes to Nintendo, there's a magic that happens, and it's unlike any other developer. It really, when you want to talk about crossing your T's and dotting your I's, they don't leave any stone unturned. And Famitsu Wave gave this a 35 out of 40. Now, I actually thought it was going to be a perfect score from them, but they are still the stingiest reviewers in the history of reviews, but they're also the most respected. And it got 3 9s and an 8, which it was a little surprised that they got an 8. That's a little low for a Zelda game, but they were
it's
raving.
funny you should say that. It is. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, no, it's that sounds like towards me, but yeah, I guess it is a little low for a Zelda. But you know what, dude, it's a slight reimagining, and it's a remake of such an old game. You know, I don't, if they would have changed it too drastically, you'd have other people that say it's not faithful enough. So, you know, they got to walk that fine line between adding too much or adding too little. But I'm gonna do some. Do you know what the price is? Like, do you know how much?
I'm sure it's going to be full boat. It's probably. I mean, because if you look at the work, this isn't just like an overlay of graphics. This is probably going to be $59.99. I would imagine.
Now, the only thing I do know, if you don't know what you're doing, I guess it could last you a while. But if I'm not mistaken, the older Zelda games were like that one. Like, it's pretty short, isn't it? Isn't it like a pretty?
I mean, listen, I don't really recall the hour time, but I mean, this game is when you. I mean, from what, again, I haven't played it, so I don't know. But I'm just going based on the 2 or 3 trailers that I've seen. It looks pretty big, man, and you're probably going to get 25 hours out of this for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look into it, and it actually might look like something that there's some like accessibility options for like really young kids. This might be the game I get for my daughter, because I've been telling her I'm going to find something that she has an easy time playing besides Mario Kart. So, but yeah, no, it looks interesting, and I legitimately it really looks cute.
Yeah, it does. I mean, they look like amiibos that are basically alive on the TV screen.
So it looks cool.
So Shady, I want to go to you next on and to close out this particular topic. Obviously, you guys have a Switch in the house. And this looks to be, I mean, just screaming of quality, and of course it's Zelda. I mean, it's a classic Game Boy version that's been brought into the 21st century, 2019. I think it's going to be a very, very big seller for Nintendo, and really, what games aren't that come out that are first party? What were your thoughts on the trailer, dude?
I thought it was a really, really well done trailer. Like Clowns alluded to, this is how I like to see my remakes being done. Just because it's not just an old game with, a higher resolution. This is essentially kind of reimagined with all the new type of Nintendo franchise character parts of the levels. Like there was some Mario stuff in there. There was some Kirby stuff in there. It just looks like they've really built on it, and it's using that original Game Boy game as like a jumping off point for the story and stuff like that for the nostalgia reasons. one of the best ways to do it. Don't just release a Game Boy game and charge $60 for it. Like, it had to come out and do what it's doing, and I think it's doing it really well. It is extremely crisp for what it is. Again, Nintendo franchises, they can do a lot with less power because of the aesthetic that they choose to use. I personally would still love to see all Nintendo franchises on like a beast machine with tons of awesome like water effects and particles and really, really dense grass everywhere. Like, I don't think just having weaker system is just because their franchises look decent on them. They can certainly look much, much, much better. But it does look fantastic. And the top-down Zeldas specifically are my personal favorite types of Zeldas. I kind of got out of the franchise during the N64 time. I'm going to speak some blasphemy here, but those Zelda games were nowhere near as fond memory to me as the
I can see the torches being lit right now.
Yeah, I know, man, my God, I've heard so much praise for those. And I'm like, yeah, they didn't get me. Like, there was times that I really did enjoy parts of it, but I didn't beat them because I just kind of got bored. I really like the top down. I love that. With Zelda specifically, it's just kind of what I grew up with. So that's what I enjoy. And it looks like it's coming back in a huge way. Like, I expect to find secrets in random bushes that you burn down, and there's a little fairy down there to get your health back. Nintendo does that kind of thing. Just brilliant. I love their level design and their little Easter eggs and stuff that they have. And I think this game is going to have a lot of them. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've also heard recently that you can game share on the Switch, apparently, with digital games. What? I haven't looked into the details of it. Yeah, I heard someone was posting it on.
Oh, I got to look into that.
On Twitter there. That's right. So it was kind of like the post was something like, hey, you can game share on the Switch with digital. Say goodbye to the physical copies. And I was like, yes, exactly. No doubt. So I need to look into that. Because there's two Switches in the house, actually. My roommate and my brother both have one. Just one copy, and basically get two copies for the price of one. Will be all the more to jump in on that in day one and not wait for the inevitable but super long wait for any type of Nintendo sale.
Yeah, you don't get sales with Nintendo. The only way you actually got a sale.
Used.
Yeah, well, yeah, used is great, but they had and I missed the boat on this, and I'm so angry at myself. They had the voucher where you buy the voucher for $99 and it gets you 2 full price games and any games of your choice, and they had their choices, but they were all top notch games. And I looked into it and I'm like, man, should I get that for maybe at the end of the year when I don't have the $130 after tax? And I missed the boat. I'm hoping they bring it back for the holiday because that's a great deal. 2 high quality. They had Astral Chains in there. They had the Ex Machina that was in there that just released. Plus, of course, the new Zelda. It'd have been such a great deal. But yeah, the use is the way to go because they don't do sales for Nintendo. Very, very rarely do they do sales. But I want to move on to the next topic. And this one, you will not hear anywhere else but Primetime Gaming. Nioh, which was, of course, a PlayStation 4 exclusive, launched on February 7th of 2017, and it took the PlayStation 4 community by storm with its Souls-like gameplay and beautiful graphics. As of this show, unfortunately, and to be honest with you, I'm slightly disappointed. Nioh only sold 2.5 million copies, considering that there are well over 100 million PS4s in the wild. And to be honest with you, the company considers that a success, and that's great. I played Nioh. I put 70, 80 plus hours into it. I got up to the last boss, and it was just... And I'm not a Souls guy, you know what I'm saying? I am absolutely horrendous. I was terrible at Sekiro this year. Terrible. Bought it, sold it. Just was like, I was god-awful in that. And I'm terrible in the Souls games, and I bought them all. Something about Nioh really just grabbed me as an old-school Capcom Onimusha fan. And that's actually how I played the game. And, well... Nioh 2 was announced a few years ago, and there was a leak from the ongoing Tokyo Game Show that happened last weekend, and we got a chance to see several new protagonists cutting down samurais, spirits, demons, and there were a ton of swordplay, and apparently there's different characters to use as opposed to just the one in the original. Now, look, needless to say, I am super stoked for the sequel, and I am a day one buyer. I hope there's a collector's edition. And there are a lot of companies involved in this. Sony got heavily involved in getting this game made because I don't think they were going to make it unless Sony got involved. Very similar to what happened with Street Fighter V. Sony got involved, and they're one of the people that are on the paperwork when it comes to getting us. If you're a fan of Nioh 1, you're probably going to want Nioh 2. It's a day one pickup for me. Clowns, I want to go to you. I don't know if you're into, of course, the Souls games, but could you possibly, first of all, did you play Nioh 1? And if you did, would you be buying Nioh 2?
No, Boom, I'm sorry, man. I'm not a Nioh fan. I did like Dark Souls 2, but after 3, I just could not get any more Souls games. Just wasn't for me. But you know what? Sales-wise, if they're happy with it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the 2.5 million isn't a lot, but again, I don't know what the development costs versus, because they didn't do a whole tremendous amount of advertising, so it wasn't like a movie where they spent millions and millions of dollars, and obviously 60 times 2.5 million copies. Well, you just do the math, but. I'm very excited. So Shady, I want to go to you on this because again, I don't necessarily know if you're a Souls fan, but this game played like it, except it had a very ancient Japanese layover, so to speak, or overlay. And I loved it because I'm a huge, and I mean absolutely bananas huge Onimusha fan. Loved the trilogy. I'm hoping that Capcom is currently working on a new one and giving us a Resident Evil 2 remake of the original. I would be floored if they did. Did you play Nioh 1 on the PlayStation 4? If so, would you get Nioh 2 when it comes out in 2020?
No, I didn't play it. I'm not a huge Souls fan at all, or really a massive, huge fan of old Japanese aesthetic either. They're good here and there, but I don't run to them. You know what I mean? I just don't. I'm not drawn to them instantly because of that aesthetic. So just not being a fan of it, no, I actually didn't play, but I have heard really good things from the community that, especially fans of it, obviously, but they liked it, yourself included. I know Mooch really liked the game as well. So I'm glad that there's a sequel coming for fans of the franchise, really, but I doubt that I would pick that one up either, just kind of for the same reasons.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, it makes sense. If you didn't play the first one, you're probably not going to be stoked to play the second one. Tempestsun, I want to go to you next on this because you do like challenging games. And there is no doubt the frustration levels on Nioh 1 on some of the bosses. More specifically, I don't know, no spoilers, it's an earlier boss, this blob thing. That it was, oh my, he killed me 100 times. And I don't throw controllers, folks. I'm a very peaceful person. But I do walk away with it. I walk away with it. I'll turn off the console and be like, you know what? I got to come back because I'm pissed as hell. And this, I mean, obviously you can expect, based on the trailer that I sent to everyone, it looks as brutal as the original. But for some reason, I enjoyed this aesthetic because of the Onimusha, fanboyism that I have. Did you play Nioh 1, and would you get Nioh 2?
I would get Nioh 2 because I actually kind of kicked myself in the butt for not playing it when it was more new. I know there's nothing stopping me from getting it now, but we got so much to play.
There is literally too many games.
Yeah, I know it's on PlayStation and PC, so there's two different ways you can play it. I'm pretty sure that's probably how this one's going to be too, so rather I pick it up on PlayStation or PC, I don't know. But I definitely want to pick this one up. It looked extremely good. As far as that Souls type game, the one I have my eye set on is Code Vein, coming out later this month.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. Yeah,
I've been looking forward to that for so long. And so yeah, I mean, it looks really good. I'll go off your recommendation because I've heard a lot of people say that they've liked it better than the Souls games.
I liked it better than Souls games because it was fast. It was had a much quicker pace, as Souls is just too lethargic for me. Yeah, it's not like a slow burn. Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested in it. I hope it eventually comes out to
everybody, because not everybody has a PS4 or a PC. So I know they said, I guess the director or something said it's in Xbox fans' hands. They have to be vocal and say they want it. I don't really think it's their job. They should just realize they put a game out on a system, it'll probably sell if it's a quality game, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Who knows? It might hit Xbox at some point. But dude, you can get a PS4 for cheap, and games still look great on the PS4. I mean, you can get one
standard
for, like,
PlayStation 4, the games still look fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you know, it being on PC and PS4, there's no reason not to get it. And I do kind of kick myself in the butt for not getting it way back when. So I'll be looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. I'm right there with you. And Cybernox, why don't you help us close out this particular topic? Again, this one may not stoke the fires with the fans listening, but I like to cover everything. I also like to talk about games that no other show is talking about because, you know, why talk about the same shit? So I hope that this hits. If it doesn't, okay, I get you. But, you know, Cyber, the one thing that Sony has done very well in this generation is garner the support of the Japanese developers. And, yes, you know, having a Nioh on the PlayStation 4, even though it's not technically an exclusive, is an exclusive. And it may be, it's one of those things that moves consoles. You know, when people put these stupid lists up, and they're like, my D is bigger than your D because I have these games. Okay, fine. But I support all three consoles, and I really, really thoroughly enjoyed Nioh. Now, even though I didn't beat it, I'm getting this day one. What are your thoughts on the trailer, and did you get a chance to actually play Nioh 1? And if you did, would you get Nioh 2?
I didn't play Nioh 1. It's actually, I love that aesthetic, that environment, that samurai culture. So I'm surprised I didn't get Nioh 1, but kind of what Tempest alluded to earlier, there's so many games to play, not enough time, and on my end at least. The trailer for Nioh 2 looks absolutely fire. I was, you know, you can see a little bit of like Ninja Gaiden in there.
Yes.
I was like, okay, here we go. Like I said, I love like that ninja samurai Japanese battle. Like I love that. Which you also said earlier, I'm kind of surprised that Nioh only sold
2.5 million. That was, and I confirmed that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad, you know. I would hope that that was both on PC and PS4. Boom.
That is, I believe that the second one is probably going to be released on both. That would not surprise me.
Their sales numbers, the 2.5 million.
Oh yeah, that's total sales across the board, dude.
I wish, you know, the developer would release that maybe on, you know, every single console. Maybe that would help them out. But it's kind of like what Clowns said. You know, if they're happy, if it's something that, you know, they felt that they, you know, made some profit on, and they're keeping their community happy, then it's more power to them. But this game is looking incredible. If I were to get it, I'd probably get it on PC, play it on there. I really like the trailer. Like I said, just the flow of that game looks very, very intriguing to me. And I wasn't, at first I wasn't really a big Souls game, you know, like that Souls genre, that Souls type game. But ever since I saw The Surge, and I think Tempest is the one that got me into The Surge.
Oh yeah,
he mentioned to me
that's a Game Pass, right?
Trailer. It's on Game Pass. Yeah. I went to Game Pass. I tried The Surge, and I'm like hooked now. Like, bring that style of game, that genre, that Dark Souls genre. Bring it on. I'm ready for it. So Nioh 2, most likely I'll pick it up. Even if I find Nioh, you know, the first game, Nioh 1 right now, because Nioh 2 is only coming early next year, so I still got a little bit of time to try the first game. So I'm excited for it.
Nice.
Yeah. If I could, I actually remember about The Surge. One of their game directors was on a podcast where I was one of the game directors for Fat Shark, which did the one of the Warhammer games, the second one just came out. Anyway, it was like a bunch of developers, and they were talking, and one of the topics was something didn't sell gangbusters, and just the game director from The Surge was like, hey man, he's like, if we had half those numbers, that would be a killing for us.
Really?
Yeah. So some of these developers, I mean, yeah, game development is extremely expensive, but from what I'm gathering, you could be extremely surprised at what some of these people or some of these companies are able to put together with a low budget. It's almost like low budget filmmaking, just for games, man. They can put together some pretty impressive stuff, and if they sell 1 million, 2 million, that is like serious payday for them, and that's what keeps the lights on. So I mean, 2.5. I mean, I can't remember the is it Konami, the publisher?
No, I don't
For
think it was...
for Nioh, is it not Konami?
I think
Not
it's
Konami.
Team Ninja, no? Team
Ninja, yes, and they're also the working on the 2 as well.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know, 2.5 million. I mean, they're making a second one. If it didn't, I mean, some people go out on a limb and make a second one, hoping it's going to be more of like a success. But for the most part, if the first one didn't make enough money for them, they probably just wouldn't make the second. So, if this one's good, they're probably going to have a Nioh 3, a Nioh 4, and keep going.
I agree with Cyber. I actually hope that at some point or another, I mean, just think about this for a second. And again, I'm not gonna try to turn this into an Xbox conversation, because we're talking about the PlayStation 4, and quite frankly, there's a lot to talk about because they've done very well this generation. But for me, like, it's no big deal because I'll buy it on the PlayStation 4. Okay, no big deal. That's fine. Would I prefer it on the Xbox because of my achievements as opposed to trophies? No doubt about it. Would I want it on the X over the Pro? Sure. But I just wish that they would look at the sales. Again, if you don't want to release 2, why don't you just give, if you don't want to do the boxes, you don't want to do the cases, you don't want to press the discs, I hear you. Do it digitally. Do a digital port to the Xbox. I guarantee you, I'm not saying it's going to beat 2.5 million copies.
It would sell more though, right?
I mean, it would definitely sell more, for sure.
I don't get that, Boom. I really don't. Sometimes I scratch my head. It's just, I'm kind of, I mean, listen, I have a Switch, obviously. I just got done talking about it. I have a PS4. I have 2 capable PCs for my wife and I have everything. And I'm just getting sick and tired of seeing these games that just, what's it available on? PC, PS4, Switch. And I'm like, wow, you're leaving one out. I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, there's still a lot of people. Some of them are going to buy your game. I mean, maybe I'm an idiot and it costs way more than I think, but
no, I don't think so. I think the cost is probably the same. It's just that
Sony doesn't publish the game either, do they?
No,
I don't think they publish it. No.
Yeah. So there's really nothing incentivizing them to just put it on those consoles and leaving one out.
Yeah.
I don't understand that either.
Like some real quick. Some companies are starting to find out that in America, even Japanese company, that's where they make their bank. Like so a lot of people's game of the year this year is Fire Emblem: The Three Houses.
Yep.
I got news for you. It didn't sell that well in Japan. It's selling great over here.
Yeah, in the States, it's doing very well. Yes.
Very much so. And I mean, like the developers over there, like, hey, we don't get it, but it's super popular over here. It's not doing much. And that's their territory. That's where it all started. So there is a market for that stuff here. I'm one of the people that buys that stuff. So when I don't see it come to my platform of choice, of course it's a choice, but when I just see it left out for no apparent reason, it's irritating, really irritating.
No, I would agree.
I wonder if there's some backdoors handshakes going around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of makes you think that, but you never know.
I mean, listen, Phil Spencer did go to Japan. I believe it was almost half a dozen times, maybe more, since 2018. So, I mean, he's been back and forth there, shaking and making deals. I don't know how. I mean, look back at, they got Phantasy Star 2 online as an exclusive. That's a big deal.
That's
folks.
Been 10 years in the making. So yeah, he's doing something over there.
So he's going over there and he's trying to wheel and deal. Let's hope that some of these smaller second party PlayStation 4 exclusives eventually come over to the Xbox, because like I said,
listen, this stuff takes time.
Yes,
it does.
It does.
I mean, And if we remember, maybe a year ago, they actually hired the guy in charge of third-party relations on Nintendo. He's at Microsoft now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yes.
So this stuff does take time. Maybe we won't even see it this generation, but starting with the Scarlet, I have a funny feeling you're going to see a lot more of the Japanese market bleed in on the Xbox side, and it deservedly so.
I mean, I think the fans deserve it. I agree. I mean, you got to remember.
Yeah.
Listen, okay, I know that the PlayStation has sold over 100 million. Again, we know that the Switch is going to surpass, if they haven't already surpassed, the Xbox One. Okay, we know that. But at the end of the day, there are still 40 million plus Xbox Ones out there. And even if you only got 2.5 of those 40 million to buy, your JRPGs, it's still money being made, on a game that you're just porting. You're not you're not making these games from the ground up like you were when they were being released on the PlayStation 4. So there's no real production cost other than converting it over to work on an Xbox One. So obviously the costs would be down, profits would be up. It's again, I agree with you. It's a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, it really is. Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, listen, this has been a great topic. Again, something you're not going to find on any other show, but you will find on Primetime Gaming each and every week. And I want to talk about the upcoming character DLC for Marvel's Avengers. And what's interesting about this is not only is all of these new characters going to be absolutely for the super price point of free. According to the story that I pulled from Gaming Bolt, the characters are all going to be something special and not cheap reskins, and this comes from Crystal Dynamics themselves. Now, as we know, the big Marvel title from Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix didn't impress a lot of people at its grand unveiling at E3. I tried to get in, and I couldn't get in as press, and the line for regular folks was 3.5 hour wait. And apparently, it didn't show very well. Now, new information has been revealed, and it's confirmed that the planned character DLC will not be simple reskins to the Avengers that you're already using. In fact, Crystal Dynamics head of studio Scott Amos explained that they don't view the current selection of playable characters, meaning Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, and Black Widow, as just classes or roles that can be simply replicated for future characters. And I think this should really get people excited if you're a big MCU fan or someone looking for the next big Marvel game. And this is what he had to say on the matter. We want to make sure it feels like, wow, this is who the character should play like. So it's not like, oh, this is just a reskinned version of X, Y, and Z. That wouldn't be fun for us. And there are so many unique purposes for each different Avenger. We don't think of them as a class and style. We say, what's great about this hero character, and let's make it greater. That's really interesting, and I'm very excited about that. But he also added why the developers want to make these characters distinctively different and not have a shared moveset with other characters that you've already played. We want it to feel like, I won't mention a name, but this hero feels like, that's the dream I've wanted for this character. Because it's starting to feel like reskins are no fun for anyone. And obviously that's again, hearing this kind of stuff from a game that's supposedly going to be offering years and years of new content for free. Okay? The only paid DLC, from what we understand, is cosmetics. And if you are a Marvel freak like I am, and you want Symbionite Spider-Man, costume, or let's say, for instance, the Punisher is somehow eventually added to this, and you want the Iron Punisher, you know what I'm saying? You can pay for it, or you cannot pay for it. I think choice is key, and I think that the DLC is going to The DLC is going to extend the game, obviously, and it's going to tell different stories, hopefully different events within the Marvel Universe. More specifically, I hope that they stay away from the comics altogether, to be honest with you, because this is a new story that they wrote, right? And if they continue that trend where we don't see an Infinity Gauntlet, or we don't see a Civil War, or we don't see, Secret Invasion, for instance, or Secret Wars. If they want to tell those stories, I want it to be vastly different from the comics, because I read a lot of comics, and a lot of people in the chat as well as on this panel read a lot of comics, and I don't think I want to play the Secret Wars the same way that it was hashed out in the first one, or the second one that came out. Shady, I want to go to you first on this. When you hear the developers of this game talking about how they had real concerns about reskins and their future free DLC characters are not just going to be a layover of a different outfit using the same moves, does that excite you for the game?
Oh, it's nice to know that Hawkeye's not going to be swinging Thor's hammer or flying through the air like Iron Man. Part of me is kind of like, this is a no-duh statement, if you will. Like, well, I should hope so. I mean, they're not the same dudes, so how could they have the exact same powers? That being said, I expect a lot of the differences to be mostly animation-based. This is still like a third-person kind of beat 'em up action game at the end of the day. So, you can, instead of beating up a guy and throwing your shield, maybe as Hawkeye, you're shooting different types of arrows, but you can still get up close, and the melee systems will be similar. I think that's what's going on here. I don't understand how a reskin could have even applied the way they were trying to make it sound like, don't worry, we're not going to make Hawkeye Thor. Yeah, thanks. I assumed. But this game, man, it still has to sell me on its own thing. Let alone, they're still talking about stuff that's way down the road and everything. Like, hey, how about you just show more gameplay? More of it.
More gameplay other than the bridge, basically, is what you're saying.
That opening training level where they're introducing you to everybody, that didn't do it. That did not sell me on anything at all. And it had me looking for the door. Like, they need to show me much more of this game before I'm even coming close to plopping down my money. And they seem just really content on constantly talking about what's coming up way later, as opposed to what we're actually going to be playing on day one. I mean, the reveal was already talking about DLC characters and games as a service model and PlayStation exclusive content and yada yada. Like, hey, how about you show us the game? And it took months for the public to actually see it. And in my mind anyways, I was very underwhelmed. I thought it was slow by the numbers. Again, it's the very entry level where they show you everything for the first time. To walk forward, push forward, that level. So I wasn't expecting too much out of it, but they do. They need to sell me on more of it. I'm glad that these characters are going to be free. I'm not a huge fan on it's only cosmetic, so it's okay to just gouge me and sell it to me. There better be a way to get those cosmetic skins in game as well, and not where I need to play every day for 5 hours for 3 weeks to get the one new Iron Man skin. Like, they need to look at these microtransactions for skins and stuff as a pure convenience thing,
right,
for people with money and not the time. Instead, it is a massive fear of missing out. There's skin shaming going down in the schoolyards. You know it, I know it, we all know it. You don't have that skin, get the hell off my team. You know that's how it's going down.
I hope it doesn't happen like that, but you're right. It's probably going to.
Like, they need to lower the cost of all these skins and sell them in mass, as opposed to selling them to the people that are, willing to spend a third of the game's cost on one skin. I think the costing.
No. They cannot listen. They cannot do the Fortnite thing. The $20 skins that Fortnite offers you is it's clobbering time, and that's why it's free to play.
They should be around like $5, and you should be able to unlock them within a couple hours. I mean, geez, minimum wage where I live is $15 an hour, and I don't like thinking about what's minimum wage versus grinding out 20 hours to unlock one skin. Obviously, the money is the quicker and better way, but if you're enjoying your time playing these games, it's not a grind. That's fine, but they need to stop looking at only cosmetics as something that they're locking up big time, man. It tells me that it's not only at all. That is where the big business is. The customers love them. The gamers love them, man. I love getting my peacock on, huge in my games. And them trying to charge me big money for that all of a sudden. I'm not a fan, so let's hope that that's fair too. But this game, it's got to sell me on the base game first, and it hasn't done it yet.
Okay, I mean that's absolutely fair. Tempestsun, I want to go to you next on this, dude. Obviously, you know, when you talk about DLC, people cringe, right? Microtransactions are evil, but you know, I think that you know, history is not going to repeat themselves. I understand that, you know, I mean, if you look at the history of Crystal Dynamics as a whole and Square Enix, they're not the EAs and Activisions where they're constantly beating the people over the head with overpriced microtransactions. And you know, even though they talked about the long-term plan, I actually think that it's smart. I think that, yeah, sure, I want them to talk about the game, right? And I want them to show us something different than the one particular, you know, bridge level that we've seen 1,000 times already. But at the same time, I don't want to see too much. The game is still not releasing until May of 2020, so we have quite a bit of time. What are your opinions on the on them basically confirming to the fan base? Because you know they're fear mongering the word of 2019. People were already saying they're going to kill us with these microtransactions. They're going to be just skin over, you know, layovers of Spider-Man on Daredevil, and you know this one on that one. You know, I like that they're getting out in front of us and saying, "Hold on, folks. We just so you know, they're not going to be reskins." Are you okay with that?
My personal view on stuff like DLC, I personally get excited for it in a weird way. Like, I'm not excited to spend globs of money on certain items, and sometimes I just don't do it. You have to draw the line. You'll be like, that's not worth that, you know? Them coming out and saying that the skins will be more than just like a reskin is very, very good news. I mean, to me, you know, gaming's my hobby. It's, you know, I'll watch movies, I'll do this, I'll do that, but gaming's, you know, it's where I choose to spend most of my free time. So if it can extend the game's life and I enjoy the game, then more power to them. As long as somebody that just doesn't have that money, if there's a way for them to achieve it without just spending their whole life playing it, I mean, that's where I would draw the line. Don't make it impossible to get these things, and just through gameplay. You know what I mean? Make it like achievable in a reasonable amount of time. But if somebody doesn't have that time, if they work a full-time job, have kids like myself, it'd be nice to, if you really want something, just go ahead and buy it. I much rather prefer that than like the Overwatch route where you sit there and spend $20 on boxes, you know.
Right?
Boxes,
yes, exactly. Well, you don't know what you're getting. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a bunch of blue and whites, and then you finally see that yellow pop. You're like, oh, what is it? And you realize it's for a character you can't stand playing. Pisses me off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't getting to pick and choose what you want. That's fine. But I'll be honest with you, just keeping it 100 here. I love the Avengers. Some of the gameplay itself looks pretty good, but I'm almost as confused as what this game is as I am Death Stranding.
Holy matrimony.
I really have no clue what this game is because I've seen people cover it that have played it. And some people have said they open up the world map and it just looks like a structure of like a series of missions. And it looked like there was some single player missions and then some multiplayer missions. I mean, they haven't been clear about what this game really is. They've thrown around the shared world type thing, like, oh, is this a Destiny clone but with superheroes? And then you find out, no, it seems very linear. So you're like, what the heck is this game? So I don't know. Maybe this DLC, you know, issue or controversy. Maybe that's the least of their problems. I don't know. I'm hoping it's good because we waited for over a year to see anything about this game, and then when they finally unveiled it, it seems kind of lackluster. I mean, the Hulk stuff was fantastic. I mean, that looks great, but like, what do I get to do with the Hulk? Do I get to press forward like Shady was saying through a level and just bash somebody over the head once or twice? I mean, what is this? They need to listen. People were pressuring Rod Ferguson and Coalition to show more about the Gears campaign. Why? I don't know. but guess what? It's Gears 5. There's
Right.
been 4 previous ones. Chances are it was going to be a Gears campaign like we've grown to learn and love. Now, they've even expanded upon it and made it better. They've richened that experience over time. This is the first time Crystal Dynamics has made an Avengers game. So they really need to. I don't want them to spoil any story or anything. Give us like a side mission or something. I want to see how this game actually plays, because I'm thoroughly confused as to what it is. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to buy it. It doesn't mean I'm not going to give it a try. At this point, I'm not sold on it in a weird way, but that doesn't mean I won't get it. They got to earn that, and they do that by showing at least something of it. Because right now, it just looks like Shady laid it out perfectly. You press forward, So.
All right. Well, I mean, listen, hopefully that's not, in fact, the case. Real quick, Cybernox, before I get to you, I have to thank Rumble Foreskin with the outstanding $2 super chat. Thank you so much. And, of course, more importantly, thanks for being here and hanging out with us. Cybernox, you are a big superhero fan. Obviously, we talked about your cape and cowl days that, obviously I blew up your spot, so everyone knows who you are now. That's my fault.
Okay.
This game has the potential to be a really big game for Crystal Dynamics, but more importantly for Square Enix. And the future plans for this game excites me very much. Like when you think about the MCU, right? Like, we just had, and I don't mean just, because we're already almost in the middle of September. In July we had Comic-Con, right? And Marvel laid out their Phase 4 plans, their TV, Disney Plus, and what's coming out in the films. And of course, it's amazing, right? I'm super stoked. I watched Endgame today for the 10th time. I was just chilling. I figured I'd watch it again. I watched that all day long. I love that film. But I am very excited to play what seems to be an extremely polished, based on the characters. The character models look amazing. I understand it's a beat 'em up, right? You're going to be beating thugs up left and right, throwing hammers, smashing people. But I'm interested in the overall story. But honestly, because they have the Marvel Universe at their beck and call, right? Everyone is available to Marvel, including Spider-Man. Oh, P.S. by the way, when they talk about the video game, so he's gonna make an appearance one way or another. If there's going to be a PlayStation 5 version of Spider-Man 2, that's still, we don't know. But for you, as a fan of just the superhero genre, isn't it comforting to know that they're not going to cheap out and just make skins that are just going to be, like I said, Daredevil's going to play like Black Widow, and Black Widow is going to play like another street-level hero?
100%, Boom. It's kind of like the way I'm thinking is they're doing a little bit of fan service right now. They're trying to get the fans back on their good side, especially after that showing that a lot of people weren't impressed with, and kind of what Tempest said as well. He still doesn't know what the game is about. I think Crystal Dynamics is in a little bit of pressure right now, because the Avengers license is probably such a big name that they want to do so well with this game. And their next showing, whenever that may be, they need to wow the fans. They need to get people on board. They need to make sure that the fans who are already hyped for this game keep being hyped, and the ones who are not, they need to come on board.
Yeah, okay, good point.
Them just saying this, that's just not a reskin. You're gonna have to, you're gonna get different moves, kind of like what Shady said, different animations, things like that. Probably different ways to play, with each different characters. Is something that the fans wants to hear. It gives them, more replayability with different characters and so forth. But I'm excited for this game. I'm a fan of superheroes. I'm a fan of the Avengers, big fan. And I just want to see what they have in stores. Crystal Dynamics, I thought they did an amazing job with Tomb Raider, but Tomb Raider was a completely different game than a multiplayer or co-op experience that you can have with the Avengers.
Right.
A single player.
Yeah.
Well. So I just think that they need to wow us next time they show something on this game. Be clear, just wow us. That's all they need to do. Show us the gameplay, show us the direction that they're going on, and I think it's a plus for all the gamers just knowing that it's not just gonna be reskins each new character. You're gonna experience something different with all characters. That's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And Clowns, why don't you close out this particular last topic of the evening and give us your thought on the developer getting ahead of the... Because, obviously fear-mongering is a thing, right? And, obviously they need to let the fans know that even though this didn't have a great showing, not only do they have big plans, not only are they going to make Marvel fans smile from ear to ear, but they're letting you know in advance that we are going to be working on these characters and giving them their own moves. All new characters are going to be their own characters. And I think that's super important. What's your opinion on it, dude?
Boom, I'll keep this short and sweet because I'm not sure about this game, Boom. I'm just not sure about it. But I think that what they're doing is fan service, I think it was Cybernox alluded to. So it's definitely going to keep the fans hyped, and it's going to bring more attention to the game. So it's to get that excitement up, because the showing, like you said, wasn't very good at all. It was lackluster. And with such a big title as Marvel Avengers, and coming from a team like Crystal Dynamics,
it's the A team, by the way, right?
Yeah,
it's their A team that's doing this.
They don't want this to be a major loss for them in publishing. So it's a big deal for them to try and get this right, to set the fans straight, and get people excited again for this title.
I think they absolutely need to. Can you imagine what Disney is looking at and listening to the feedback? I think, like I said, I think they're in a little bit of pressure now, and they need to bring it next time they show us something.
Yes, I agree. I think they need to show something new, something fresh, something exciting. And instead of just a single-player campaign we know we're going to get, they probably need to show the Destiny-type multiplayer. Let us see what's going on with you and three of your buddies, right? Open it up to a new mission later on in the game where, because, again, we've seen the bridge, I think, too much already. And I think that's why people are losing interest in the game. I mean, listen, it's going to be what it's going to be. I hope that it's going to be good. Again, like I said, I will reiterate, it is the A team at Crystal Dynamics that was responsible for Rise of the Tomb Raider, not the third one, which Shadow of the Tomb Raider was good. I really enjoyed it. It just wasn't as good as Rise, for me anyway. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. But listen, this has been a fantastic show. I want to thank everybody that came out and hung out with with the panel. Everybody in the chat, you guys are absolutely amazing as always. Of course, the super chats that I got, I want to say thank you again personally. That does really help the channel grow in regards to giveaways. And on your way out, all I ask is that if you did enjoy today's show, and you don't mind, and it's not too much trouble, share this on social media, hit that like button on your way out if you enjoyed it. And again, if you didn't enjoy it and you thought it was rubbish, then hit the thumbs down button. What can I say? But I want to get to the outros, because they we have a great panel and they have a lot of stuff going on, and obviously you know who I am, but I want you to know who they are and check out their work. Clowns, I want to start with you. What you do for this community, I consider you an unsung hero, because you are generally a really good dude, and when people reach out to you, you respond, and not everyone can say that. Plus, I really enjoy what you do on Four Guys with Quarters. Why don't you tell everyone where they can follow you, but more importantly, subscribe to your channel, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Boom. Every Monday night, Four Guys with Quarters is the number 4, and the rest spelled out, all one word, on YouTube. You can check us out there. We're also on many, many different podcasting platforms, and we just got accepted on radio.com.
Nice, dude.
We were penning that for about maybe 5 months in talks with them, and we're still in talks with Viacom to get on the Pluto TV platform. So we're trying, man. I'm really trying to expand the Four Guys name. Now I just got to get more episodes up there.
Well, listen, you do a great job, and you bring a lot. Like I said, you always bring important issues to the table, and I like the way you cover it, and more people should definitely subscribe to your channel. CyberKnox, I want to go to you next, dude. Listen, you got a lot going on. Obviously, besides the newborn, you do put out content. You do do a little bit of streaming, and of course, you are on this particular show. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out your other works.
Course, it's always a pleasure to come on here. Boom. The panel is always amazing. Chat, you guys are awesome. I'm easy. You guys can find me CyberKnox across the board. I'm usually more active on Twitter. I got a YouTube channel that I'm close to hitting 100 subscribers as well. You can find me on Mixer and Twitch. If you like watching, game movies or anything about gameplay, sometimes I put in a little tips and bits here in regards to what you can do with your Xbox. Go on ahead and subscribe to my channel, but always remember to come here Mondays 8 p.m. Eastern and catch prime time gaming podcasts. It's always a pleasure. Boom.
Well, appreciate having you on, and yes, please, if listen, let me tell you this something. I really want to stress this, folks. If you enjoy my content, the people that are on this panel that have channels that are out there putting the work in, go over there and subscribe to them. All you have to do is click the show notes, and the link is right there. Just click on it, subscribe, because I guarantee you're going to find something in there that you like. So Shady, I want to go to you next, and I'm not sure if you want to announce what's going on today or if you're going to be there for the last Breakfast with Boom, but you are a community icon. A lot of people enjoy what I mean, listen, sometimes you could be raw, but you're truthful. And you do curb stomp the trolls when you can. Tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, and if you're your upcoming sabbatical from podcasting for a bit. Talk about that.
Oh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, no problem, Boom. I loved coming on the show this week again for the second show. Thank you to everyone that came out. I will talk about it now. I'm taking a few weeks off. I've got a little bit of surgery here coming up. I've had it booked for months. And I actually had an opportunity to get in a little bit early a few weeks ago, but I told them no because I wanted to make sure that I was here for the first couple episodes of your Monday show and just let everyone know that this is where I'm going to be when I come back. It shouldn't be much more than 3 weeks, I think, at the long. It's nothing serious, but I've been told that the healing is a bitch. For those that don't know, I live in the same province as, they created Wolverine, so I've decided to have adamantium grafted onto my skeleton as well. Right. I'll be back. Yeah, right. That might not be the exact operation I'm going in for, but that is why I won't be on the show for a couple of weeks. I will be on the show, of course, this Friday morning with Breakfast with Boom. That will be my last appearance on that as well for a few weeks. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. Please do us all a huge favor and share this out. We are a brand new show. Anything you could do is appreciated. If you're looking to stand up and become an agent of the Sesh Empire, you can find us on Twitter at the Sesh Empire. That's where I tend to dwell, do my stalking for trolls, if you will, and just share my passion for gaming. I like to have a lot of fun. Hopefully you do too. Thanks again for coming out. Happy gaming. I'll talk to you all soon.
Yep, and last but certainly not least, closing out today's amazing show, Tempestsun. Love that you are, interacting more and more with the community. Love that you make it available for other players to join you, of course, because you are skilled in not only MMOs, but you're also skilled in, of course, shooting games. And first-person shooters are your thing. And you, of course, welcome people from this community to jump on Xbox Live and play with you. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter and, of course, your information for Xbox Live.
My Twitter is at the Tempestsun. My gamer tag is Tempestsun, so you can find me there. I appreciate the chance to be on the podcast again, Boom. It was a lot of fun, and I have an announcement to make.
Nice.
So Shady's YouTube channel has hit 100 subscribers.
Yes, there you go.
So
I might mean I need to start making something and putting it out there. Well, I thank you for that too.
Consider that fire lit under your butt, buddy. So we got to get you some content on there. So no, I appreciate everything, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you to the panel. I enjoy being on here, man. It's a ton of fun. I love it.
Okay, well, listen, it's great having you, dude. Love that you are part of this panel is important to me, and love what you bring to the community each and every day. Just two quick notes as we get on out of here. This Thursday's the Xbox Factor podcast, for the first half of the show, we're going to have the creator of Lost Worlds Beyond the Page, which is a game that's coming out on all platforms: PC, Xbox One, PS4, and of course the recently announced Nintendo Switch. The game is amazing looking, and I think it's a smaller indie title. I think everyone should look to when it releases in December. And of course, for next week's show, I'm in talks with getting Matt Piscatella from the NPD group to be on here and talk about Game Pass and what it means, especially when you talk about Gears. And of course, everyone, I hope you tune in for Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom. I will be making the official panel announcement, which is really stacked with talent. And of course, I want to thank everybody again for being here. Enjoy your evening, and I'll see everyone on Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast. Have a fantastic evening. Be nice to one another, and just play games, folks. Later.